money and the processes of electoral processes, or the control of wealth. Money is the control of wealth. Religion is the control of fear. And the military is the control of force. So, if you control force, then you can persuade people. And you can persuade them to use force, use persuasion, or you can buy them off. That is why we have the African Command to persuade us to accept democracy. And every time you see somebody with a gun running after you and say, you must accept this, you must accept this, then you know there's something wrong. But let's look at money, and this is really the area that I wanted to open up for you. Money. How is it possible that we in Africa, who have so much resources, people used to ask me this question from up to 1992 when I started studying money. How can we be so rich in Africa and yet be so poor? That would be the question. Because if it wasn't the fact that we don't have enough of wealth around us, you would not go to persuade somebody to receive a piece of soap or some money to vote for you. It would not happen. I can't go to Chairman Mao now and say, Chairman Mao, let me give you, $1 million and you cross into NRM. I'm sure those attempts have been made. Or my sister, my beautiful sister, Winnie Chiza, to say, come and get money and join this political party. That can't happen. So, where do the Europeans get the money? Is it because they are so brilliant and know so much about commerce? Where do they get the money? And when you go on the streets of Kampala, there is this piece of paper. This is a British pound. It's a piece of paper with graphics on it. It is sometimes called a promissory note because the Queen promises that she will pay you the equivalent of £20 if you present this paper. Then there is another piece of paper. This is called the euro. Here. And there is an American dollar, there is Egyptian pound. All these are on the streets of Kampala. But listen to this. Anybody from England can come to Uganda, sleep in this hotel, and use this piece of paper to pay and go away or buy anything they want if they have a paper called the British pound. But me, if I go to England and I take our piece of paper called the Uganda shilling, the British will say, no. We don't accept this. Eh? They won't accept this. And then I can say, but we accept yours. They say, yeah, it is an international currency. What about mine? It's not an international currency. So if the Americans wanted to buy this hotel, the head of the treasury will ask one question. How long does it take to print the $10 or $20 million? They'll ask the mint. And the mint will print a piece of paper, they'll put graphics on it, and they'll bring and take this for a piece of paper. You understand that? However, we cannot take our piece of paper, to America to do the same. Now, in some form of lunacy, I have heard that our government is even going to keep our oil money in America. And our piece of paper is backed by an American piece of paper called the dollar. But let me bring it home. When we print this piece of paper, this 5,000 Uganda shillings, the cost of printing this is about 1 shilling, if you are printing many of them. But when the government issues this, it issues it as true 5,000. So the government makes a profit. That profit in economics is called seigniorage. Seigniorage, S-E-I-G-N-O-R-A-G. And it is defined as the profit that the sovereign makes when it issues money, less the cost of printing and distribution. Now, if another piece of paper comes into our economy and it is accepted, then it denies us that seigniorage, the profit that we would make by issuing this money. You understand that? So, the more paper from other countries that come into our economy, revenue. By the way, parliamentarians, Bank of Uganda doesn't declare seigniorage. From 1986 to 2016, the bank had printed 5 trillion Uganda shillings. 5 trillion. But they don't account for that 5 trillion. So you can pick that information afterwards and run after them. Ask them seigniorage. At first they will tell you it doesn't exist, but tell them Kihura Nkuba said, talked about it. They will understand and give you the information. Now, here is the most scary thing. Whereas Bank of Uganda had printed 5 trillion, the commercial banks have 17.5 trillion Uganda shillings. 17.5. So the question is, where did they get the money from? But it gets even better. Whereas the commercial banks have 17.5 trillion, the telecom companies, every day, one telecom company creates $92 million, equivalent to Uganda shillings. $92 million, and this is a fact. It is case closed. That is why you see there are some friction between the government and some telecom companies, which means the Ugandan economy is big.